It is time to get away, and today we are heading to Cappadocia, Turkey.
Travel journalist Justin Walter is joining us today. Justin, always great to see you. Tell us all about Cappadocia. This is one of those places you see all over Instagram and you don't really necessarily know where it is. What makes it so unique?
Yeah, this region is in central Turkey, and going to it is like transporting into an entirely different world between its geological features, its culture, its activities, its history. I felt like I was walking on a movie set the entire time I was there. I didn't know if I was in Disney or Star Wars, but it is a region and location and destination that once you go to it, you can't really compare it to anywhere else in the world.
Stunning. So Cappadocia's, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
Their hot air balloons are common on many travelers' bucket lists. Why are they so popular, these hot air balloon rides?
Yeah, the hot air balloon experience is at the top of everyone's bucket list going to this region because it is so magical and beautiful, not only to fly above the region with all these geological volcanic rock formations, but every morning is basically a hot air balloon festival where there's over or around 100 hot air balloons floating in the sky at the same time over this stunning geological volcanic features of this region. I did it once, recording these videos as you see. I was so moved and so touched by the experience, I actually changed my flight and booked another hot air balloon experience so I could do it without using my phone. I was moved to tears by how stunning, moving, spiritual, beautiful this entire experience was. And I cannot recommend doing a hot air balloon experience. There is a reason why it blows up on Instagram. There is a reason why so many people want to do this experience, because it's unlike anything you'll do anywhere else in the world.
Wow.
I have actually been to Cappadocia.
Did you do the hot air experience too?
I did not do the hot air balloon thing. I went to a place called Urgup, which I'm sure you spent some time in as well. What if you don't want to deal with hot air balloons? How else can you enjoy the scenery?
Yeah, I would say one of the best things to do if you don't want to go in the hot air balloon is you can watch the hot air balloons by going on one of the rooftops in the morning. You can enjoy it by bringing your cup of coffee, your Turkish breakfast, even a glass of champagne, where a lot of the popular destinations and hotels offer these rooftop experiences. So I can say that you don't have to necessarily get in one, but you can still enjoy the sun rising to the view, the spectacular view of these hot air balloons. And I was on a rooftop taking that video. That's how close they get to. You see, I'm there in my Turkish cloak that I'm wearing right now, actually. It is a very enjoyable experience to not only see it from in the balloon, but also on the top of a rooftop.
So gorgeous. All right, so there are other activities that you recommend there as well. What are they?
Yeah, I mean, the region is beautiful with geological formations and features that you have to go hiking. There are fairy chimneys. I'm sure you may have seen some videos of these fairy chimneys in the region, where they are also known as hoodoos, and they are tall spire of rock whose shapes are affected by erosion patterns, alternating between hard and soft layers of rock. They can be anywhere from the size of a human to over 10 stories tall. And you can go hiking in the different valleys and regions and take a look at these very, very unique, somewhat provocative looking spires, and they're known as fairy chimneys. So I highly recommend walking and hiking through the region. In addition to the fairy chimneys, there are abandoned cities that were built into the rocks and into these volcanic formations, where you can walk through and walk even into some of these. There's also underground networks of cities during the Middle Ages that were home to churches, houses, underground pathways that you can actually go into these, here's my friend walking through it, into these underground tunnel formations and cities and explore the region underground, which many people lived that way for many centuries.
So cool. Now, when it comes time to book a stay, where should we go? Any recommendations? I go for a little sleep tourism.
Oh, yes. Definitely. Well, I would recommend staying at one of the cave suites. We stayed at Cappadocia Cave Suites, which it's basically like staying inside a cave. So here is the view of the room that we stayed in. And when you're staying in these cave suites, you really do get that feeling of being in a unique spot in Turkey, being in the Cappadocia region, where I've never stayed in a hotel like this. And on the outside, it looks, like I said before, like you're in a Disneyland-esque world, a fantasy fairy tale land. that these cave suites also have those rooftops that have that view where you can watch the balloons in the morning. And if you don't want to stay in a cave suite, you can also stay, there's a lot of Airbnbs in addition to hotels. Here's the view from one of our Airbnbs that was pretty cheap, and that had a unique feel of this Turkish vibe and Cappadocia vibe. And the view from our Airbnb was, again, breathtaking, stunning, and there's a lot of great Airbnbs to look at as well, in addition to staying at some of the hotels or the cave suites.
All right, Justin, let's talk about Turkish food, because not a lot of people know a lot about it, but it is fantastic. And do you have a favorite meal?
Wait, and you said Turkish breakfast. What? I want to know about the breakfast too.
Well, the Turkish breakfast spreads are just incredible. It's anything you can imagine in front of you. Coffees, teas, food, whatever you think. It's just a huge spread. But my favorite dish in our entire trip in this region was these clay pots, these kebab pots, where they literally make these pots individually for every meal. They break them in front of you and they slow cook whatever's inside, whether it's meat or vegetables. And it is the most delicious thing and fun to watch them break these clay pots in front of you. So every meal for lunch and dinner, I had a clay pot kebab, and it was so delicious. I've never anywhere in the world seen anything like it. So I highly, highly recommend eating these kebab clay dishes.
Those are fun. Are the spices and stuff similar depending on where you've gone? I mean, is it like ordering, orange chicken at every restaurant?
I would say the Turkish food has its own flair of spices and taste, and it's something that I highly recommend eating your way through Turkey, not only Cappadocia but the rest of the country.
So how many days do you recommend staying there? At least amount to most amount?
I would say 4 is the least, but this is the reason why you need to stay. I would say maybe 5 or 6, or 6 is probably pushing it. The balloon experience is dependent on weather. We actually had our balloon experience booked where it got canceled because the winds were too strong. So then we had to reschedule it. So if you only book yourself a 2 to 3 day window, you might miss that experience of seeing the balloons. So I recommend the sweet spot being around 4 to 5 days, because you need to be flexible. And I also recommend booking your balloon experience on the first day you're there, so that if you don't get in the balloon or you don't get to see the balloons from the rooftop, then when you stay a little longer, you can rebook if the winds are too strong.
Fantastic. Great tips. I'm sold. I got to book that.
You gotta go.
I know. Thank you so much, Justin. You can follow Justin's travels by visiting his website, justinwalter.com, or on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, ATW Justin.
Can't go wrong in Turkey. Istanbul is a great place as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.